are certain technical limitations that exist with TradingView strategies. You can't simultaneously hold long and short positions.
Hmm.
You can't cancel market orders after the bar closes. You can't adjust position margin with while a position is open. You can't immediately enter a position, although you can close a position immediately. But an indicator doesn't have these limitations. Would TradesPost consider writing a library that allowed for more complex signal management in TradingView? P.S. Mike and Tom are fantastic. John's all right, I guess.
We'll take that as a sarcastic comment there in parentheses. John is obviously the man around here. So can you bring that back up again? I think what I need to
Yes.
understand a little bit better is how they would want to support, like what kind of complexity do we need to support
Sure.
in terms of signal management? Were you able to unpack this?
So the issue here is that so I had a client who had they wanted to use the backtest in TradingView, or like that was the default, and the issue was that they couldn't a trade couldn't be open, so they needed a trade to be open on the open of the candle,
Mhm.
but they needed to check to make sure that the value was above, let's say, the moving average. But you have to create the order before the candle closes for it to be launched on the open, and by the time that happens, anything that's happened on that candle, you can't change the order. It's going to get executed because it gets created on the candle before, and it's going to be a market order that launches at the open of the next candle. There's no way around that. However, if you did an indicator, then you can just have the indicator send the alert for the open at any time you want during that candle,
I see.
which you can't do in the strategy. And then there's all these other limitations, like if you wanted to do a hedging strategy in TradingView, well, you can't develop a hedging strategy because you can't have open and short positions open at the same time. For
Mhm.
the margin, sometimes in for, let's say, crypto positions, I'll have 50x margin on a trade, and if I'm headed into a volatility event, I don't want that position to get liquidated. So I would want the strategy to account for what I would normally do, which is increase the margin on that position so that it can suffer the move without getting liquidated, and then reduce it again after that. The FOMC minutes is out or the CPI report is out, so that I don't get liquidated on the positions, or different types of OCO orders where I would want to create that within TradingView, but have more complex structures. So I was like, hey, if we maybe we should have a library that we just developed that just slowly grows over time, where we're adding different functions to it that allows for all kinds of different mechanisms to build out more complex strategies. And I figured if I asked live on the stream, you'd be forced in order to say yes, and I would slowly start building it week
Yeah,
by week.
particularly if you covertly say this is from one of our longtime customers who's been paying us for over 2 years now, and he demanded this request, then yeah, I think that would be the right way to perk my interest. No, I feel like that's a good opportunity for our blueprint episode to cover some complexities there and maybe get the framework started. I think that was originally the intent of the webhook message library, but it was really just to try to solve this problem of constructing the messages rather than solving the construction of real trades and overcoming some of these limitations that you find within TradingView. So I'm game. That sounds like a good idea to cover.
The library, I've been using the webhook library that we built, and uh, I've come to the conclusion that we really need like essentially a component module that you
Mhm.
add on to an existing one, and it's through drop down menus that you're building this thing out. Because it was just, as I'm doing it, I go, it just makes so much more sense as opposed to having this long chain, which was fun to do programmatically, but for a regular user who wants to copy and paste into a strategy, which is most people, it'd be so nice to have this thing that shows up and you just have it and in the library you can do that. You add the library in, and then you have this chunk there, and
Mhm.
then it's just easy to tie in the entry orders and exit orders.
Yeah, I kind of want to retire the webhook message library because of that problem, especially as our JSON messages start to change more and more over time, where we start offering more properties, more rules, more of the strategy settings will start showing up in the JSON message.
Mhm.
And we'll even be doing things like, what are we calling it internally? It's basically a way to send a syntax, right? So like if you wanted to enter a position that's 1% above the market price, you can create a little script within the price parameter to say, take the price times 1.01, and it would calculate that before we actually send it to your broker.
Right.
So there are some ideas that I want to explore that really are aimed at just helping people construct the correct JSON messages. And then you just paste those into the settings of your strategy or indicator. And those are the correct messages that get sent over to TradersPost. So that's partly why I want to abandon the webhook message library, because that's fixed in terms of how many properties you can send to it. And I want to make it more future proof so that people can just paste in these messages.